Hi beautifuls, welcome. This topic, this is a really strong one. If you are still attracting men that need healing, that choose their mothers over you, that won't step up and call you the crazy one, this message is for you. If you are also yawning and over the spiritual community and bullshit at the moment, this is also for you. This topic that I'm speaking to is really strong on my heart, body, mind, soul right now. And I feel like there's a lot that I want to say combined into this piece about why you're still attracting men that need healing, or choose you over your mother, choose their mother over you, or go back to their families over you. This is a really strong piece that I really want to share. A lot of insight that dropped in. I'm just going to share this as I'm talking. I feel like there's so many topics that I could pull out of this one video and talk about it, like talk about each individual piece. But I've been guided to share them in this one video because they all interconnect, and there's a really important facet that I want to share with this. So just bear with me while I share this, and I know I will be present with what I want to talk about here. So this particular topic that I'm speaking of and what I want to explain here, I was teaching in Trust Intuition yesterday, so I was filming module 5 for Trust Intuition and it's module 5 is in alignment with unity. So I teach the 12 divine steps to awakening your life purpose, which you can also access in the Life Purpose Activation Kit. And divine step number 5 is unity. Divine step number 3 is willingness, and the willingness to trust what you're being guided to do, to awaken your life purpose, to follow your purpose, to follow what God is guiding you to do. Divine step number 3 is how my reel went viral on Instagram with nearly 7.4 million views at the moment. So I've got 2 live streams going, so bear with me while I'm looking at both cameras, but I really want to talk and speak to this. So I'm just going to bring up these comments now that that's been shared. Okay, perfect. All right, so the first most important thing that I want to share about this is that your destiny protects you. Your destiny protects you, and nobody can judge you about what you're here to do for your unique life purpose other than God. Nobody can judge you on what you're doing other than God. Nobody can send you to dungeons other than God. Nobody can judge you. Like if you get sent and you get in all these places, like your destiny protects you. God is the only judge of and the overseer of this realm, and I believe of all realms. There are many people who will be envious, jealous, and bad things happen to good people. Bad things happen to all people, but there is a point where you are always protected by your destiny. Meaning your destiny protects your death. You are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose. And your destiny will always protect and guide you if you are listening to it. People will try. But at the end of the day, they don't have the power to decide. Your destiny protects you. So onwards and upwards to your purpose. So this main piece that I want to speak to here, if you're still attracting men that need healing and choose their mothers over you, or won't step up and then turn around and call you the crazy one, if you're yawning over the spiritual bullshit and are turned off by spiritual communities right now, This is why. So when we go, like the part I want to talk about here is there is a difference between healers, leaders, psychics, I guess anybody who's in a spotlight, if you want to say, like, ultimately, let's look at it like that, but I want to say especially in the spiritual community, but anybody who is a leader in any which shape or form, specifically, yes, talking about gifted psychics and healers and people who channel messages, for example, or work with people in the healing industry. There are gifted psychics who are healed and in integrity, and there are psychics that are running at effect of disassociation and trauma. People come to healers for healing. People come to psychics and leaders for guidance. There is a huge difference between a gifted psychic who is healed and somebody who is running at effect of disassociated trauma. Now, when I'm going to do my diagrams to explain what I want to talk about here, because it's quite deep. So you can tell the difference between a psychic who is healed and operating out of integrity. And I want to say healed really is the word we're looking at here, right? Because a gifted psychic who, I want to say, like, what am I trying to say? So somebody who is unhealed is extremely judgmental. They are easily triggered, they are easily reactive, and extremely, like, I want to say reactive, right? Maybe I'll just start writing this down because there's so many pieces that I'm putting together here. So let's just say healed and unhealed. Okay, so we've got healed and unhealed. Okay, so I don't know if it's back to front for you guys. So, okay, so we've got judgmental, let's say grounded, non-reactive, right? So there's like extremely judgmental to other people who they get triggered by, right? And so then when we look at a trigger, okay, so a trigger, as we know, is triggering something that is unhealed within us, right? So when somebody says something, for example, so let me bring this up here. This is like a human with their aura. Yeah, we know that. Now, somebody who is unhealed and has trauma sitting in, and nobody's perfect, okay? But when we're running at effect of unhealed trauma, we're very judgmental, we cut people off, we don't heal, we repeat patterns. And the thing is when, like, so let's just say somebody's got a trauma here, okay, and it appears in their aura like this. It also sort of splits open their aura, okay? So the aura is split open, so that bit's not there anymore, and the trauma, okay? So when something, infiltrates through abuse or any sort of abuse that's happened in their childhood, now it can also just be simply from someone, who's like been scared or like, oh my God, that happened. And it's like, like it opens up this hole, if you may. So when we look at, like this trauma coming in, what then happens is when that's unhealed in a person, that's where infiltration from other things can come in, okay? So you might have heard me talk about in the past, like this is where addictions stick in, okay? And then they sort of come in and they infiltrate the person's being and consciousness. This is where illness can happen. This is where all sorts can overtake them, okay? Now, when we're looking at like a person who is unhealed, they're, as I said, extremely judgmental, very quick, very reactive, very like they're unhealed, right? Because what happens is that when a person comes along who is healed or who is in their power and grounded in integrity, this starts rattling, right? And that's why people can be very quick to judge and, you know, those sorts of things. Now, the piece that I want to share around this is that when, like, it's all good to channel beings, right? Like, this is an unhealed person is a stage of consciousness, because there's different stages of consciousness, there's different stages of maturity, there's different stages of healing, right? And they're all sort of on par with each other in a way. They're all on the same road, on the same timeline. So when a person is unhealed, okay, and they've got a trauma or trauma's running or whatever like that, and the infiltration happens, etc. Now, the thing is that when a person starts to heal, sorry, I should say this bit. So, and this can happen from past lives, from this lifetime, etc. So when we've got this trauma running, and as I said, like a, you know, I'm trying to keep these colors here for this example for you guys. So when, as I said, this like not only have we got this main trauma that's affecting us. So I don't know, I'm just going to say when dad left, I don't know, I'm just giving an example, okay? When dad left, okay? And it's an abandonment wound, okay? So then this creates like a hole and a vacuum. And then, so not only have we got the original trauma, okay, then as we grow up, then we have like, you know, we sort of like unconsciously we're looking for healing, and unconsciously we're living and attracting our reality from this vibration, okay? So I'm trying to keep it on here. So we start to then vibrate at a particular rate, and it's a vibration rate of what this is, you know, it's like a filter. It's, you know, you've heard the saying of like, we've got the rose colored glasses on or whatever, right? So we're looking at it like that. And so as we grow up, then we're not only attracting circumstances that then reflect this, okay? And the only reason we attract circumstances that reflect this is because we know the natural state in symbiosis is I don't know what the right words are, like is of healed, is of, I don't know what the right words are, like is of healed, is at this point of like our natural, like for example, when we get a cut, okay, we get a cut, the body naturally heals it. Sure, we might just make sure it doesn't get infected and whatever, but the natural state is of purity. I don't know what the right words are. Help me here, guys. You know what I'm trying to say, right? It naturally heals itself. Like the body just, it naturally has a state where we resonate at, okay? So when we attract circumstances that are running at effect of our trauma, we are naturally trying to heal. Okay, I'm going to use that analogy. Okay, we're naturally trying to heal. When somebody is unconscious, we're unconsciously trying to heal, right? And even if we've done a little bit of spiritual work, we might be aware that we're attracting repeating cycles, attracting a man that's still being like, you know, what did I call this live stream? Attracting men that need healing, right? Because we're like needing healing, but maybe we've stepped into being the healer, for example. No, time doesn't heal us. I don't believe time heals us, because unless we consciously work on this wound, we're still going to be attracting this reality. Like we could say time, if we believe that time heals wounds, like for example, if you didn't fix up this cut and made sure it didn't get infected, it might get infected and you might die. So does time heal? I don't believe time heals, but we might clean the cut so it doesn't get infected and then time heals it. we need to clean the wound, we need to heal the wound, or we're just going to be walking around with this infected wound that then still infiltrates more, like because it's split open the aura, all this other stuff can come in, okay? And then there's other layers. And so what I call these experiences then, because then what happens is, like say for example, like we then get into a relationship, you know, when we're a child, and then our first boyfriend leaves us, and then we've got this sort of scar layer here. So we've got like 1 wound, 2 wounds, 3 wounds, all this stuff starting to come in, and it's infected, and then we're having an experience with a partner. Okay, then that didn't work out. Then we're attracting the same sort of relationship again. Why? Because we haven't healed this wound. And then so it's like another scar layer, and then there's another scar layer. And that's why when people start healing, right, they have a spiritual awakening and they start healing, they're like, oh yeah, and then yeah, it's so amazing, I'm connected to spirit. But then what happens? Oh, we start to become conscious of all these scar layers. We could start to become conscious, and sometimes we don't become conscious of these scar layers because it's too painful, right? It's too painful. And to unpack all of these scar layers means we have to do the inner work, means we have to go in rather than asking our angels or spirit guides or that other mentor or healer or psychic or whatever, because we're not willing to go here. So that is why we continue to attract these relationships that continue to, you know, continue to repeat these patterns. Now, the point that I want to say here, okay. So when we have a spiritual leader who is running at effect of their own trauma, okay, now, as I said, everybody has stuff. We're human, okay? But how conscious is the person of their own trauma running at effect of and affecting who they are working with, what they are working with, who they are calling in, etc. Now, you can tell if somebody is running at effect of disassociation from their trauma, because somebody can look like they have it all together, but what that is a disassociation from their body. So as a soul incarnating into our body, we come in through the crown, okay, and we come down to our base chakra. So when, as like a soul that's incarnating into a human form, when there is a trauma it's like blocking the way, right? So I always teach the chakras coming down because we've been going up to spirit for way too long. And so I always teach the chakras coming down. So when a soul comes in, okay, from spirit, if this trauma's here, it's not going to be able to get past here. And so the soul is actually like living up here. And that's why there's some really gifted psychics and really gifted healers, but they're not grounded in their body. They haven't looked and healed their own traumas that are running at effect of, and then are here. Now, how can you tell? Look at their relationships. Look at how judgmental they are to anybody that triggers them. That's how you can tell. Are they here, grounded, or are they running at effect of here? Because they can be really, really psychic and really tuned in and really clear. Why? Yeah, of course they are, because they're fucking up here. They see it all. But how can you tell if they're operating in this realm? We're here on earth in this realm, right? I wrote about this in my book, Ancient Blood Healer, You're One of a Kind. You can find it on Amazon. We are a different breed. I would always screw my face up at others when they would talk about their star home and how clear their connection was to feel like their home was not here on Earth, when the galactic being was their brother and they could speak about them and all the Galactic Federation past Andromeda, past the gobbledygook, 7th dimension, constellation that is coming in from the 28th of November at 7:17 a.m. past this galaxy drive. They are the starseed Lemurian, guide Gorgarians from Sirius B and talk to Palladians all day. What? What? I'm pretty sure we're like here on Earth. Aren't we here? Right? And this is the thing, right? We can be really connected to spirit and source. And it's a stage of healing. It's a stage of awakening. A stage of healing and a stage of awakening. If we stay connected up to these spiritual realms, we're missing this reality here. This is why there's a lot of spiritual men, there's a lot of men even that are disconnected in their purpose, that haven't found their purpose, and will latch on to any woman who has the slightest inkling of a masculine energetics, who are on purpose, who are clear in what they're doing and creating in their life. And this is why we attract these men, right? There's so many men that are unhealed. Now, I found this this morning, I was like, okay, really need to talk about this. So this is by Loren Ken, and do you know what's so funny? So I followed Loren. He's on, well, I'm sure he's on Facebook too, but on Instagram for quite some time, right? So I've been studying conscious men, understanding, you know, how to be a conscious woman, blah, 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 in relationship. And so, you know, I'd been following, so Loren Kren for ages, like, and learning. And then, like, I'm now with this man who has read his books and, like, followed him for ages. And I'm like, of course you have, because it came up in conversation. And so, anyway, Loren's post had come up this morning, and it says, for a man to truly step into his mature masculine energy, he must break free from his mother. For me, has been a red flag in the past that I've ignored, that sent me down rabbit holes, that I was like, how did I not see that? But I did, but I didn't. You know, like men who still live with their mother, or men who like choose their mother over you, like all these things, right? So for a man to truly step into his mature masculine energy, he must break free from his mother. This is what Loren said. No matter what work he does or where he ventures, if there is still an energetic attachment to his mother, wanting to be validated, seen, heard, or needing her approval, he will be crippled in life. And this is, in my opinion, where those men who haven't fully healed the mother wound and are not doing the work to become the masculine men that they're born to be, that they're meant to be, will latch on to spiritual women and teachers and out there, and you'll see them all over the live streams and the comments and all the things, like they're these spiritual men that, you know, are latching onto these women to get validation and seeking, like, no matter what work he does or where he ventures, if he still has an energetic attachment to his mother, wanting to be validated, seen, heard, or needing her approval, he will be crippled in life. Releasing the boy-mother dynamic is the first step in a man's initiation, transitioning from boyhood to manhood. Yet, most men in today's world have never undergone this crucial inner process. This is so crucial, guys. This is why the hurt inner boy often emerges in relationships. So this is why when you've been with a man who can't hold that presence with you, who can't stand there with you, because we are like this feminine, like moving, you know, chaotic energy, and you'll find that men who haven't done the inner work and released and healed this mother wound relationship will mimic your energy, and it's absolutely like I just like, I'm like, what is happening? For a long time through my journey leading into this conscious relationship now, I was with, you know, men who, you know, had been with their mom, chose their mom, always go back to their mom, still live with their mom. I'm like, Hannah, that was such a red flag, like, you know. And so, and then, you know, the next one would be like, showed me how much I had grown in myself, because it took a long time in between to really like work on myself, because I was still attracting these men. And I was like, why, what is it in me that is still attracting these men that, you know, have like run back to their mum every time something happens, or mimic my energy, or tell me that I'm the one with the problems and I'm the narcissist and I'm the one that's needs to do the work, and it's all my fault, right? And I was like, well, what is it in me that keeps attracting this? And so I spent a long time going within to be able to like look at this and understand this. And it's like, it takes two to tango, right? But not every man will go through that initiation to be able to do that level of work, to be able to meet a conscious woman in that space. Now, as I always say, just because they're spiritual doesn't mean they're conscious. Just because they're spiritual doesn't mean they're conscious. This is like a prime example with this right here. Just because they're spiritual doesn't mean they're conscious. Spiritual, anybody can be spiritual. Why? Because we're all fucking spirit. We're all got a soul. We're all connected, right? Anybody can be spiritual, doesn't mean they're conscious. Just because they're spiritual doesn't mean they're conscious. Consciousness is an embodiment. Consciousness is a body, right? Consciousness is a body. We are dense, right? The deepest, darkest aspects of humanity is density, is reality. The darkest form of dark, dense, like demon darkness is density, is human. The deepest, darkest density, like the deepest demons, is human. Because it's density. Our spirit is an atom. Our spirit is soul. Our spirit is spirit, right? In this reality is dense. It's dark. Our soul incarnates to our human body. The reason somebody won't incarnate is because of trauma and not willing to face the density. What's the words? Like the most powerful form of enlightenment is being fully present here. That's why the Buddhas and all the things, they're fully present. Isn't that right? Like they're fully present here. Like fully present here. Does that make sense? They're fully here. They're here. Why? Because they're grounded. They're fully present. So when we are not like when we're and the thing is that we can dance around the demons and the darkness, and we can be in the galactic federations of like whatever, I don't know, universal thread that's connecting in, and but it's like, yeah, because you're fucking up here. Like we're here. The demons are here, honey. The demons are here. And that's why there's so much sexualized trauma on this planet, because this is the base chakra, right? The base chakra is where all the sexualized trauma stuff is here, because everyone's fucking operating up here. They're not conscious of what they're doing. A man is triggered by a powerful woman when they're triggered in their emasculation and they haven't healed the mother wound. But what about the fucking childhood wounds? Right? What about, then we say, oh, but it's this like, infiltration and it's this spiritual thing. It's like, actually, what about this childhood wound keeping you out of this reality, of what's in front of you with the relationships in front of you? Because if you're not dealing with your childhood wounds, you're going to be living in your head and you're not going to be grounded. And it's like, this is where it's at. Like we incarnate into this realm to master this realm. Once we work past the grief, so I just did a public live stream and the collective reading, this card came up. And this is the kangaroo, which is igniting the passion. It's connected to crocite liquid crystal, which is the base chakra, which activates the kundalini serpent coming up from the base. But to come down in the soul to experience the miracle, which is this card, we have to experience the grief of coming into earth, okay? Because coming into our body is painful. Like, yes, we can have orgasmic birth, but it's pretty painful bringing a child into this world, right? And so it's pretty painful. This is the grief. So sorry for those of you who don't know that the Sturt Desert Pea is an Australian native bush flower that comes out in the middle of the desert when it's been raining and there's just desert and then there's just red flowers everywhere. And it's deep ancient grief. When the soul incarnates into this realm and actually does the work to heal the traumas that have been created in the body, then this physical incarnation is painful. And it's so soul nourishing and divine at the same time. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. We're here in this realm to master this realm. Not up there. We wouldn't have incarnated here. Thank you. I've explained this so spot on. Yeah. So I'm just checking my notes to make sure I'm covering everything here. So when you hear comments of people saying, like the spiritual community is imploding, or you're feeling really like an aversion to the spiritual community and you're just like, ugh, like earth, can't even listen to like any teachers and stuff that I used to and stuff, then, and this is why. Why? Because you're healing, right? As I said, like humans come to spiritual leaders, gurus, teachers, blah, 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 for healing. But check the master, check the guru, check the healer that you are working with. Are they operating out of here or are they operating out of here? The ones that are extremely judgmental and will cut you off and flick and gossip and dramatize about everyone else and say that their way is wrong, what they are doing in the world is wrong and it's bad and it's blah, blah, they're fucking up here. And what they are doing is avoiding their own inner work by using spirituality as an addiction to cover up the pain of what happened to them in their life, and using this as the mask and the filter for everything else. I can speak on this because I used to be this person. When I first came online, I was judgmental as fuck. And this is why I can see it with a 10-foot barge pole, and also why I can speak on it, because I used to be this person. 100%. Okay, let me just check my notes here to make sure I'm covering everything. Oh yeah, so when you're feeling like sick of, like tired of hearing about spiritual jargon bullshit, just check where they're operating from, right? As number one. Number two, you are also coming into healing. You are coming into a healed space as your own person. And what happens when you heal, okay? So what happens when you heal? So you've got, the thing that I just explained. What happens when you heal? Sorry, I'm going a little bit off topic, but I need to say this little bit here. So when we first do spiritual stuff and whatever, it's amazing. We're like, yeah, it feels amazing, right? Because we're connected up here to source and spirit, right? We're like finally connecting up here. Now, and I know this very well because when I had my spiritual awakening, when I was 21, I was heavy into recreational drugs, smoking ice, cocaine, ecstasy, the whole lot. Just never needles. I never did needles, but all the drugs you could think of. I was working in a strip club, the whole thing, right? I had my spiritual awakening and I woke up and I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? So I know this because the thing with drugs and addiction or anything that we ingest, we're looking for connection, right? We're looking for connection. And so, as I said, humans go to healers and mentors and guides and leaders for guidance, for healing, right? And so when we have our spiritual awakening, it feels amazing. But then, and this is why I teach from the chakras coming down, I don't have a dark blue. So we've got, like the chakras. Sorry, I don't have a third eye dark color here right now, but we've got this, and then we've got the green heart. So I'll just draw them here. So, and then we've got the ears. Don't forget the ears. So we have the chakras, right? And so when we're coming down, if we can't, so this is the third eye is about seeing the truth, right? We see the truth in relationships, and then we're finding the balance and we're hitting a new frequency and understanding. This is where the ear chakras are being left out. This is where that consciousness is still operating, right? A lot of people say that they know the earth has been inverted, infiltrated, all these things, but they're still operating out of the old system that is keeping humans unconscious, coming up from the base, coming up from physical reality, when actually in truth, if we didn't have a soul, we wouldn't even be alive. Our human body is only alive because our soul that comes in from the top. But what they're doing is they're keeping people unconscious by using the old system that's making them come up. But that doesn't make even fucking logical sense, because we wouldn't be human at the base in physical reality. This is physical reality at the base chakra if we didn't have a soul. So that whole system is like out the friggin' window, but everyone's still operating from it. So when we come down and we have our spiritual awakening, we start to see the truth. We're like, oh my God, this feels amazing. I connect with angels and spirit guides and all the things, right? And the galactic beings and blah, 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 blah. And then, but the thing is that when our soul is trying to come down, third eye chakra is about seeing the truth. Seeing the truth in relationships. If there was a word for the third eye chakra, it's relationships. If there's a word about the third eye chakra, it's truth. So there's actually two words. Seeing the truth. Okay, more than two words, you get it. Seeing the truth and relationships. This, right, is coming down. So when you have a spiritual awakening, you're like, oh my God. And then you hit here like, oh my fucking God, these relationships are toxic as fuck, right? But then if you don't do the work on the physical wounds, like we spoke about here, and you're not doing the wound clearing from what you're like, why that's hurting in relationship, then that's when you flick back out and you stay up here. So when we look at the wound work, okay, and this is where relationships work off wounds. So if we're not consciously working with our childhood wounds and these pieces that come up in relationship or not in relationship, and you're attracting the same cycles and patterns and people and places and relationships and whatever, you could move across the other side of the world and you're going to attract the same relationships in your work dynamic, in your friendship circle. You can't run away from this shit. Why? Because you're still operating at this frequency. Okay, that's why the law of attraction is the law of attraction. That's why when you're trying to manifest your reality and create, new things for yourself, it's fucking hard work. It's hard work because you're breaking out of all the systems from society and generational training and what you've been brought up in, and this stuff as well. Okay, so when we're working and we're coming down and we can see the truth and we work with these, and this is why, as I said, I work from the chakras coming down, and I teach this is the advanced chakra consciousness that I teach and work on each chakra individually in Trust Intuition. So in Trust Intuition, you get access to it's the inner circle. So you get access to all the advanced chakra consciousness trainings and obviously Trust Intuition and anything else as well. So just comment trust below, or if you're watching on Instagram, you can comment trust after, because the comments don't stay here. You can find the link in my bio, etc. Send me a message, what have you. So when we come down, right, we're consciously and constantly, operating out of this effect. This is what we're operating out of, okay? But if we're not going to look at the wounds that are creating this, then it's going to, we're just going to keep creating that, and we're going to flip back out. And that's why we're really judgmental, because we're like, ooh, that person, ooh, that's wrong. What's wrong? Okay, this is the dark side of shadow. But the densest form, the density, okay, is, as I said, humans. It's reality. It's dense, right? And the soul comes down into the demons. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying we're a demon, but you get the point, right? Okay, there's some things going on my Instagram comments there. Someone's fighting. I'll just check my Facebook comments too. I've got 2 live streams going here, guys, so bear with me. Okay, so Nicole says, yeah, my husband operating from his mother wound. Yeah, so, and that's what I said, and I've always said for years, any relationship that is unhealthy can go healthy, but both parties must do the inner work. I've said that for years. Both relationships, both unhealthy toxic relationship can go healthy and come together back to their full homeostasis. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. But both parties have to do the work. Now, I left previous relationships because I knew it wasn't aligned for me. I didn't want the relationship. If one person doesn't want the relationship and the other person's trying, it's going to be toxic. It's not going to heal, right? Okay. So Ebony says, you've explained this so spot on. You haven't popped on my Facebook for ages. Only having this conversation 2 nights ago. Yeah, I was needing to speak to it. There's so many pieces to this. Okay, let me just check my notes here too. What was the other piece that I always wanted to talk about? Yeah, so the soul anchors into this body. And it's really uncomfortable. And that's why you see so many spiritual leaders and healers. And this is why when you hear people and comments around the spiritual community is imploding on itself, this is exactly why. Because the true leaders, the true healers, the people who have really done the work, are here all the way down in their grace, in their base with grace. And you can feel it. You can feel it from a person. And when they're fully in, it will be really triggering to someone who is not. And that's why the judgmental, gossiping, backstabbing, flicking of like reactive stuff. Oh, I knew there was another piece I wanted to say this. Okay, awesome. So thank you for that, you guys, because there's another really important, I knew that's why I was reading my notes and stuff. Okay. How do I draw this bit? Let me just try and draw this bit, try and understand. I think I just started touching on it, right? Because if one person wants the relationship and the other person doesn't, it's going to be toxic no matter what, okay? And I should also state here, what was it that came to me the other day? Something like narcissism is just unhealed wounds, and the world is waking. You know how like there's a big narcissistic movement at the moment, right? A lot of people know about abuse from many years ago, but they didn't really do anything. But now there's like a big narcissistic movement. Narcissism is simply unhealed wounds becoming conscious and not being dealt with. So when we look at a relationship, if one person wants the relationship and another person doesn't, it's gonna be uneven. All right, I don't know how to draw that, but it's gonna be uneven, okay? And that's why toxic relationships, narcissistic relationships happen, because one person wants it and the other person doesn't. And like, I'll just speak from experience with myself. So yes, exactly. So is it Nana? So this is really accurate, really going through a big relationship issue. As much as I want it to work, it feels like I'm the only one doing the work. Exactly. And, you know, and the thing is, I've always said to clients for many years, men take ages to catch up. And I don't mean that in a bad, hurtful way. It's just something I've witnessed time and time again with my clients over the years. And the thing is that, like, you know, like two people can both do the work, but I think it's also like, do both people want the relationship? Awesome. Okay, so you both have to consciously choose to do the work together with mentors that you resonate with, that both people want to do. Because I've had people come to me in the past, and I actually won't work with clients who, like, you know, I've had, you know, first of it, especially when I began, and I'd get a lot of psychic readings, and like from older mothers, you know, maybe 50, 60, who want to get a reading for their son. And I wouldn't read for them. I'm like, oh, who's this for? And they're like, oh, for my son, you know, he's like, you know, I'm like, how old is he? He's like, oh, about 30, 28, 30. I was like, I'm sorry, I won't read, right? Because if a person wants to do their work, they come to me, right? And they do the work. They don't tiptoe around and, you know, no, when a person wants to do the work, they do the fucking work, right? So both parties have to want to do the work for the relationship to work. And as I said, a relationship can go healthy, but both people need to want to do the work. Now, sometimes, and as I've always said, you can't wake somebody up. And that's why people who are constantly like trying to wake up the unconscious, and I'm like, no, we work with the people who are ready to do the work, and I'll just be here when you're ready to do the work, right? It's a waste of energy and of your purpose to be trying to yell at communities that are unconscious, right? For example, like, you know, the whole COVID jab stuff, it's kind of like you can't wake people, you know, people are going to do what they're going to do, right? People need to wake up on their own. There's no point in trying to wake people up. There's only like, you do the work and then see if they come, right? Ultimately. So something else I wanted to say about this, I'm just going to check my notes because, okay. So, oh yeah. So I want to talk about why you go off spirituality. And why is like, ugh, so I don't want to do anything about it. Like you know your own practices, but you also have periods where you're like, I don't fucking, like you're just off the whole thing, right? So I want to talk about that, but there was something else. Okay, if you're not connected to this realm where we live, to this reality, you're disassociated because of your trauma, and you will attract the same relationships. And this is why when two people get together and they're, let's say, unconscious and traumatized, let's say, for example, so let's say two people get together, they're unconscious and they're traumatized, and then one person wakes up and they start doing healing work and they heal, okay? And that's why their relationships get unbalanced. And like me, we're healed. And so we're like, oh, I really want them to heal and really want them. And, you know, but then like, because what happens when a person heals and the other person doesn't is the vibration shifts. right? And this is what happens when we, like when you got the relationship and then the relationship shifts, so you're different vibration. And that's why people were like, oh, what are you doing that stupid work for? Don't do that. And they'll try and pull you down, etc. But then there's also this gap, right? There's this vibrational difference of a gap, right? And this is why, like, they can either come with you or not. And then it's kind of like, as I always say, if you're in a relationship like that, you either choose to be, you find your peace being in that relationship and find it, like, and be happy with it. Because I've definitely seen relationships in my past, in my history, working with clients, mentors, blah, 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 where one person is conscious and doing the work and this person is not. And I know I'm sounding really judgmental when I'm saying conscious and unconscious and they're not conscious. Just to explain the energetics, okay? So bear with me. So there's definitely relationships and marriages that I've seen where this person's really conscious, always doing the work, and this person's just completely unconscious and just, and they're happy because they've chosen to be happy. They've chosen to be in that marriage, chosen to be together, but there's a but, okay? Let me try and find another color here. There's a but. This person must respect and love, right? Doing a big arrow here. This person, right? There must be respect and love for this person doing the work. Because a lot of the time with that gap ratio difference, that's where toxic dynamics start happening, because they're like, stop doing this stupid shit. What are you doing this stupid shit for? Basically what they're saying is, I can feel some energetic change happening and I don't like what's happening and I don't know what you're doing, but I don't like it. And so that will come out as fights or whatever's going on, or put downs or whatever like that. So an unconscious and conscious marriage / relationship can work if this person is going to respect and love this person in their growth and change and continual growth and change and feeling the vibration shift and growth and change. Like, it will work if this person can fully accept that, and if this person can fully accept that this is an unconscious person who doesn't want to do the work, and there can be a beautiful bond and love here. But there has to be that equal, like, I love you even though you're growing and changing and I don't want to do that and I'm just staying unconscious in my little life here and this other person's just flying high, right? That can work, but both parties have to be on board with that agreement. Does that make sense? If that agreement isn't there, then that's when the relationships go toxic, because actually maybe this person wants more from this. Let's say the woman wants more from the man. Yes, it can be the other way around, but let's just talk about this. So like, this woman wants the man to grow, she realizes that she wants a man that's present with her, that can stand there and listen to her and not try and fix her, or she doesn't have to be in her masculine and he can just be holding that masculine energy while she just gets it all out, and then it's just like, okay, I'm good now, like, or whatever, it's like, it's that and it's not that. But you get the point, right? And this is why there's so many issues that start happening when there's not that agreement. And then that woman wants the man to do more or be more or step up more. And also this woman can feel like the man becomes quite needy because of the energetic difference, right? And he's like, oh, what's happening? Hang on. And then, and especially the other big piece about this is that a woman will feel like a man is needy and draining and just like, if they are not on purpose. If a man doesn't have a purpose, they will feel like they're draining your energy and feel like it's I don't know if it's unbalanced. It'll feel draining, okay? And you're just like, I need some space, right? If a person, and that can be in both dynamics, okay? I know I'm speaking woman, man, but it's definitely in both dynamics. And this is why purpose-driven relationships and conscious purpose-driven relationships, that where both people are on purpose, have really worked and healed their wounds. And again, it doesn't mean that they're like perfectly healed and nothing ever comes up. It's that when it comes up, can that person hold the space for the other person whilst we both process and work through this together with conscious awareness, so we stay here and not here. Because when a relationship flicks up to here, that's when the fights happen, okay? Because we're not both being here. And this is why your own inner work and the deep piece here. Okay, what is the topic that I'm speaking about? Yeah, I know so I'm talking about if you're still attracting men that need healing, choose their mothers over you, or won't step up and you get called the crazy one or the narcissistic one. And if you're yawning and just like, oh my God, this spiritual bullshit community stuff, like, that. And then also the difference between a gifted psychic that is disassociated in their trauma and operating from disassociation, or a healer that is grounded and present and operating from a healed space. And the difference there, you can see it with a 10-foot barge pole. They're really judgmental, gossiping about others, and constantly focused on other people. And they're wrong, and I'm right, and that's just so wrong, all of that stuff. So, okay. Now, there was another piece that I just wanted to add to this relationship piece here. So this is the stuff that I go deep into Trust Your Intuition, okay? You can find the link in my bio. The investment is increasing at the end of this week. So if you've got any questions about it, just pop them in. But this is deep in Trust Intuition. Like, if you truly want to heal the wounds, and also not just heal the wounds, but have the tools that when this stuff comes up, you know how to hold this in a relationship, right? And if you're not in a relationship or considering leaving a relationship, then you understand what you're looking for in a relationship and won't settle for that, and stop attracting the same type of man or woman, depending on where you're at. Stop attracting the same pattern of men or women that are in their masculine or in the unbalanced energies that are affecting the relationship. But it's you getting really clear on, well, what is that for you? When we're running at effect of our trauma lenses, it's very easy to get messed up in these. And as I said, a relationship can heal, go healthy, and, you know, become purpose-driven, on fire together if you're already married, for example. But both parties have to be willing to do the work. Okay, let me just quickly read my notes. Hang on. Yep, so that's what I said. So if you're not connected to this realm, you're disassociated because of your trauma, and you'll attract the same relationship. So if you're disassociated from your trauma, you're going to attract those people who are also disassociated and be like, oh, I resonate with you so much, right? Or there's a resonance there. And the same, that's what I want to talk about too. So when you're working with, or find that there's a spiritual leader who is running at effect of the trauma and up and out of their body and disassociated, from like childhood wounds, and they won't come down, they won't look at like the relationships that are right in front of them, they'll be off talking about it to all these other people, etc., etc. It's kind of like, this is where like as this wound, sorry, I knew there was more things, there's still more, and that's why I wanted to talk about this in one big long live stream. You can watch it like a Netflix, whatever, because this is important pieces that I'm like, I need to just, there's so many, like, it's all connected as one, if you may. So, okay, so we've got I'm just sort of redrawing this wound infiltration part here. So this diagram, just doing a fresh one for a minute, because when we have a spiritual leader, healer, teacher, I want to say any industry where you find it, you know how people are like, oh, it's like a cult, and they're like, so, okay, sorry, I just found myself needing a lot of alone time on this conscious journey. That's different for me to isolate. Yeah, so there's a difference between isolation. I almost posted about this the other day as well. There's a difference between isolating to heal and then isolating and avoiding relationships altogether, right? So yeah, I'll speak on that too. It's important. So when you've got any sort of leader, teacher, healer, psychic, whatever, who is operating out of disassociated trauma, they're not only infiltrated like in this way, right, and coming in, and then it's like, coming in and becoming them, if you may, and they're operating from this. There's also like, I want to say like a vacuum, if you may, and this is why like you get drawn in and sucked in, or how do I put it here? I don't know the right color. So there's also like a vacuum that goes this way. So like whoever's infiltrating also feeds. So this is where the feeding happens. Does that make sense? You've probably heard like the spiritual feeding, narcissistic type thing. So the feeding happens from whatever's infiltrating in here and running it, but then also it's like you're getting sucked in out there too. And that's why we're like, oh, it's the galactic sorry, Galactic Federation, whatever, just using that word. You get the point, right? It's kind of like, oh, but it's them, but it's them. It's like, oh, it's this angel, or it's this spirit guide, or it's this. It's still, what is it? It's something outside of you, okay? So when you heal and you come into a healed place in yourself, you're not running out effect of something outside of you, okay? Like when you heal, you feel safe in your base, which is physical reality, which is facing current relationships, dealing with your physical reality, and you feel safe and strong enough to deal and heal with all of this. You're going within to seek the guidance. You're not seeking validation and external validation, which, when I just brought up Loren's post before, and he said, for a man to step into his mature masculine energy, he must be free from his mother. No matter what work he does or where he ventures, if there is still an energetic attachment to his mother, wanting to be validated, seen, heard, or needing her approval, he will be crippled in life. And this is the validation, seen, heard, or needing her approval. Like, this is what every single unhealed person does with a mentor, with a healer, with anything, because we're all humans. And we are all seeking healing from when dad left, or whatever your trauma is, okay? We all have it. We all have it. And we all do it. And do you know what? It's a stage of consciousness. It's a stage of healing. There is no judgment. It's a stage. But I want to say the trick is to heal and to evolve and to move on. There's a lot of people that get stuck on it and maybe they'll never evolve, and that's fine. That's just their journey, whatever's, right? But it's a stage of healing. It's an evolutional point. And instead of seeking validation outside, you heal the wound. And you might still listen to your mentor, to your teachers, to your spirit guides, to your meditations, whatever. But ultimately, you're solid in yourself, and you're really you don't need that external validation to be able to do what you're born to do, because when you come down to your base, that's where your base chakra is, that's where your purpose is. Life purpose lives in the base chakra. All right, just checking my notes for one more thing here. You're only psychic because your trauma made you hypervigilant to survive in this realm. You're only psychic because your trauma made you hypervigilant to survive in this world. So when dad left, my wound, right? And all my nerve sensors were like, okay, I gotta defend myself. Survival kicks in, and we become very, and then all this opens up, and we have all this connection to these higher realms, right? Because we're, that's everybody, okay, I gotta, radar, and we become so fucking attuned to it that if we don't heal the trauma, then we just keep operating from that. There's a big sort of movement going on at the moment about nervous system regulation. Why? Because you need to heal the trauma. This is all the stuff we do in Trust Intuition. Trust Intuition investment increases soon. Find the link in my bio. Just comment trust below. I'll send it to you. Okay. So you're only psychic because your trauma made you hypervigilant to survive. Now, there's a difference between somebody who's naturally gifted and somebody who's gifted from the disassociation of the trauma. And then there's also both together, right? Nobody's perfect. But it's, are you running an effect from your wounds? Or are you healing that to be able to come consciously grounded before enlightenment, chop wood. After enlightenment, chop wood. Chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. There's deep truth to that saying, right? Could you explain the healing steps as well to build consciousness process? Yeah, so it's clearing wounds, ultimately. And there's an ethical process enabled to do that, because if a person isn't grounded in their body and they try and clear this wound, it's going to be more detrimental. That's why when people say, I've had a client come to me and they went to a healer and she cut all these cords off her. And this woman ended up in ER, in hospital, because of when she was a psychic healer and she just cut all these cords. And I'm like, fuck That's like the last thing you do. Clearing a wound and cutting cords. I don't even recommend cutting cords because the cords are only there in the first place because the fucking wound's there. So this woman got her on a table, cut all the cords off. The woman went home, didn't know what the fuck was going on with her spiritual body. This is why there's so unethical teachings out there. And in Trust Your Intuition, it's a big course. And it's that for a reason, because I teach in an ethical way that doesn't leave someone in more trauma and send them to the emergency department, because people out there do that when they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And this is why in Trust Your Intuition, you come out with a certification, if you want to do the certification part, as a certified intuitive healer and life purpose activator, because I so strongly believe about this, and that so many people are out there not knowing what the hell they're doing, cutting cords. Like you can keep cutting cords. You can keep cutting cords 100%, and it'll keep coming back because it's this part here, right? So there's definitely a process to healing big trauma wounds, because you have to be ready. You have to know how to look after yourself. You have to know, not just protect your energy, you need to understand energy. You need to understand how to psychically like work in the psychic realm, because if you don't know what you're doing, this is going to be worse than when you began. Hence why in Trust Intuition, I teach all of this, like, you know, and I've got weekly support calls. There's a fortnightly support call, and then there's a intuitive business teaching support call. So we alternate, right? And there's group mentoring in there for a reason, because I'm like right there with you, because this stuff is big. People mess around with these psychic realms, and this is why when I've been saying, like, people are like, oh, the spiritual community is imploding on itself. Yeah, because fucking people haven't been doing, like, they've been unethically living up here doing shit. I'm like, it was always going to happen. There was always going to be a collapse happening, right? So, okay. So ethically, yes. So ethically about that. So it's not like I can sit here and go, oh, well, you need to do this, this, and this. I'm like, because it's a lot deeper than that. I'm like, the process is you need to clear the wounds. You need to heal and clear the wounds. And there's like 4 different processes that I give in Trust Intuition to be able to do it, not just ethically, but so it actually heals, right? And as I said, cutting cords is the last thing. Well, I teach about it, but we don't actually do it. We clear the wounds, because it's a bit like trying to, like expect an infected wound to like heal when you just, well, it's not really a good analogy, but it keeps coming back because you haven't cleared the wound, right? You haven't cleaned out the wound, so the cords will just keep coming back. There's a reason why it's there in the first place, but the cord is only there because, as I said earlier in this live stream, that cord is only there because like you're unconsciously trying to heal, right? Remember how I said in the beginning, when Dad left, just using that example, when Dad left, and then I've been like looking for like how to heal that unconsciously. And that's what every relationship out there, right? Unless they consciously came together, have come together unconsciously to heal wounds. Now, once they're healed, right, then yes, we can like become conscious together. But again, like I said, both people have to want to do that with the right people, yeah? Right mentors. Okay, and this is why also, right, why when people do heal, okay, they reach a certain stage in their spiritual evolution, that they throw away their healing careers, that they throw out the coaching baby bathwater, like, you know, they throw out the baby with the bathwater and whatever they're doing, because they've healed and they're like, oh, like I don't need that anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. It's draining or whatever. But it's like you are evolving to the next stage, of your evolution of your purpose. So again, in Trust Your Intuition, and that's why when you enter Trust Your Intuition, you get access to life purpose legacy, because once you heal, then your purpose becomes clear, but it's kind of like it's marrying the two. And then it's leaving your legacy. That's the reason why you healed in the first place. It's why you're becoming conscious. That's why you've awoken, because your purpose is the catalyst to awakening you, to helping you to heal, to get you on path of your purpose. You're here for a reason and a purpose. You're here for a legacy, and your destiny protects you along the way, right? There are no need for wars when people are in alignment with their true self. Okay, so I'm just checking over my notes to make sure I covered everything. Okay, so let's just, last little thing that I want to talk about here is, so when we go off our spiritual tools and we're like, oh, I just don't want to do that, like whatever. And the thing is, again, I teach this in Trust Intuition because like we are made of water, we are made of energy. Yeah, your destiny protects you along the way. Yeah, I'll check comments in a moment too, right? When we go off our spiritual practices, we're just like, oh, like we're made of water, we're made of energy. And it's not that we blame the moon or outside circumstances for how we're feeling, but it's so important to understand these aspects, because we are all atoms and we all interact with one another, and we all have infiltrations of some sort. We're all not perfect. We're all fucking human. We're all here for the experience of being human, right? Our spiritual beings came here to earth, not stay up in the fucking galactic realms. Like, this is the realm. This is the playground. This is the galactic realm. Like, there's no separation between what's out there and what's in here, right? And that's why coming up, you know, it's like the physical stuff, it's like we're unconscious to that, right? And so it's like coming down and seeing the truth and being able to balance that with the new frequency of what you're seeing as your soul incarnates to your physical density, and coming down to integrate the darkest aspects of humanity, which is dense form, because our spirit is light and this is density. That's why we're in this physical reality, right? And the entrapment is we're in density, right? As soon as we die, we're not dense anymore, right? Okay. So I was getting off track. Oh yeah, so when we go off our you know, our spiritual practices, we're like, oh, I just don't want to do it anymore, or we just feel like a day where it's like, I don't even know what spiritual practices to do anymore. It's a really awesome thing to not do any of it. And I call this in Trust Intuition a reality break. It's a reality break, right? A reality break is when we're coming into a healed place, or we've gone through a chunk of healing and we're like, oh, I just don't resonate with that anymore. And sometimes we don't resonate with any of our relationships, nothing. We're just like so like, ugh. And what I call that is just let yourself be. Let yourself just be in it, okay? Because what you're doing is you're shifting out of this and you're shifting into this, and this is a new resonance. This is the love you've always known to be true. This is your soul embodying with your human self. This is the snakes on the Hermes stuff intertwining. This is your soul really incarnating down, igniting the passion and the crow kite that we spoke about earlier. This is igniting up to then fulfill, and because you're being fulfilled and sustained by the nurturing and nourishment of your own soul, not from this disassociated trauma that's full of whatever's coming in and not feeling. And this is why we go off and of spiritual teachers topics, and we're like, ugh, because you're coming into reality. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. I'm going to continue to say it because it's so potent in understanding that we're here. This is the playground. This is the reality that we chose to incarnate to understand these pieces, right? And so when we're up here missing this, we're missing this. We're missing the reason that we're here, right? So when we go off our spiritual practices, I'm like, good. Give it a reality break. Go and binge on Netflix. Go and just not, I want to say not meditate for a while. And I had a pure experience of this morning, right? In essence of like, I was, you know, I've got my meditation room. It's right here. It's where I sit, sort of thing. Well, down there. It's my winter space because it's cold. Anyway, the point is it's my meditation room. And I was like, I wanted to meditate, but I'm like, I just don't want to sit in there. I was like, oh, like whatever's like, and this is where you're learning what your soul is needing for you personally to connect. This is called Trust Intuition. And so I made a coffee. I was like, I don't care this morning, like whatever. And I was just in it. And I went and sat out by my pool out on property on 250 acres. And I went and just sat out by the pool. And I was like, I'm just going to watch the sunrise because it was dawn, right? It was just before dawn. I love that time of day. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit out there. And I got my coffee and I was like, I'm just going to sit. I don't want to do any spiritual stuff, whatever's. And I just sat. And I sat, and my cat came, and then it was, you know, the beautiful, I love that from dark to dawn, like the dark to dawn, like to dawn, the colors, and it was a beautiful, clear morning. And anyway, the point is that all I could hear, and I was conscious of just sitting by the pool, it's water, salt water, what I could hear was all the birds waking up. I could hear nature. And I just let myself tune into that. And I just sat there. Probably my mind's going blah, 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 all this stuff, right? But then I also just sat there. And after a while, I realized how deeply I was hearing the birds. And after a while, I realized how deeply I was connecting in with the land and the beautiful colors changing of the dawn. And after a while, I was like, there it is. And then all these downloads came and I'm like, fuck, I've got to get out my phone and like write all these notes in my phone. I was meditating out there. And no planned meditation. And so when you go off your spiritual practices, your intuition is guiding you to receive in a different way. Your way. Not a trauma-fueled, got to do this meditation because this mentor teacher said this, blah, 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 blah. If you want to get good at trusting your intuition and understanding these concepts, yeah, there's a training that happens. There's a discipline and a training. If you want to swim, you're going to need a teacher to teach you how to swim. I wouldn't recommend if you were you didn't know how to swim to just throw yourself in the ocean and think that you're going to learn how to swim. I mean, you might, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to understand psychic work, understand relationship dynamics, understand about healing wounds and stuff, sure, you could watch a few YouTubes and learn how to swim, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you're going to dive in the deep end to become a master at what your intuition is guiding you to do to unlock your purpose, all day lucid dreaming, exactly right, then you're going to need a mentor and discipline and training, and yes, it's a skill. If you want to learn, if you know how to swim and you want to become an Olympic swimmer, you're going to get a good trainer and coach, and you're going to fucking train every day for that Olympic race, aren't you? And this is where the spiritual community is collapsing in on itself, because the lack of training and discipline training under mentors that are either running out effect of disassociation from their trauma or running out effect from a healed trauma. And everyone's on a path, everyone's at different journeys, everyone's where they're meant to be, but this is where your soul's calling you to do. So if you are going off spiritual communities, as I said, check, where's the teacher at? And you can easily tell really quickly, are they judgmental? Are they, gossiping, drama, this person's wrong, I'm right, they're doing it wrong in the world, but it's so easy to spot, right? And when you go off from everything, and even in your personal relationships, right, when we're spiritually growing, okay, and this is where doing the work in relationship, and if you're doing the work and this person's not, you'll go off them quite a lot, right? Because not only is there that difference in the vibrational difference, but you'll go off them a lot because you're also doing this at the same time. So it's like a double layer, right? So it's really understanding how to care for yourself and understanding that reality breaks are important, because as you're taking a reality break and not doing any of your mentor's teachings in that moment is because you're doing your one and your soul is showing you your purpose. Okay, is there anything else that I need to say about this? I know this has been a really long live stream. I know I covered lots of bits, and the first part of this that I really started with this is, if you're still attracting men that need healing, choose their mothers over you, or won't step up and call you the crazy one and the narcissist, or run back to their mothers, or if you're yawning over the spiritual community bullshit and you're fucking tired of it and you're like, don't want to do any of it, and understanding the difference between a psychic healer, gifted leader of any sort that is running at effect of a disassociated trauma and they're gifted because of the trauma, or if they're running at effect from a healed, grounded place. So that's what this live stream has been about. I'm going to check comments now because I know I've just been talking and sort of went on a bit of a run there. So if you've got questions, you can, perfect time to pop them in now. You might want to rewatch this live stream from the start because there's huge pieces of gold in here if you only just caught this as well. So, so just checking the comments here. Nicole says, I started my healing journey with a spiritual community, but have disconnected from all spiritual teachings. I've just grounded myself in the present. It goes through a timing like that. It does. And sometimes we come back to them and sometimes we've outgrown them. And I've got a lot of people here from the beginning. They're still here. So I love you guys. Bonita says, healing childhood traumatic encounters is a must to be fully whole so they can move on and hopefully help others as well who might be experiencing the same. Yeah. Christine says, yep, testament for that. Yep, so spot on the timing, just living through this now. So happy I've just found you in your feeds. Yay, welcome. welcome. Okay, Rosemary says, you're only psychic because your trauma made you hypervigilant to survive in this realm. Exactly. It's a thing, right? And then it's learning how to be this rather than this, because this will be the infiltration. That's when we keep going around. That's when we stay in that vibration, right? If you want to accentuate and evolve and grow, then it's, you know, looking at moving past that. Very dangerous cutting cords. 100% it is. Like, you got to know what you're doing, right? And I just wouldn't recommend it. I don't recommend just cutting cords. Yeah, your destiny protects you along the way. It 100% does. It definitely does. This is really crazy that people believe this. Even the person doing this video believes herself. I'm glad it works for you. Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? And this is the thing where this resonates with me, because I'm like, we are in this realm. Like 100% we're connected to all spiritual galaxies, realms, all these places, all these things. But at the same time, like, it's like you can tell by a person, it's like, look at your relationships. Look at your life. Look at how you're talking about, operating, or, you know, constantly gossiping about other people, right? This is why people are like, stay away from the spiritual communities. Yeah, because they're usually full of gossip and drama about other people who are doing it wrong. And you could say that I am doing that as well on this live stream, 100%, but I'm explaining the difference of operating out of disassociated gift. And if you're attracting the same type of man in relationship, well, then this is where, as I said at the start of this live stream, this is why I was like, why do I keep attracting the same type of men? Right? And this is where I went deep inside, looked in myself, did the work, and now I'm in a healthy, conscious relationship. Thank fuck. I was like, this is what I've been talking about the whole time I've been online in the past 8 years. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there any other questions about any of this? So trust intuition is where it's at. So much healing. Yeah, you're so welcome. And yeah, if you were triggered, you've still got work to do. If you really received what I put down on the table, you're really coming into a place where you can be in a balanced, whole, conscious relationship where you both grow, or whether one person's conscious or not, or whether you're both conscious, or whether you're healing an unconscious toxic relationship that's been a bit disconnected. You know, you can go healthy and connected again. You definitely can. But if you're still triggered, hello, coming into this to reconnect back to the wholeness. Okay, I think we're good. There was a lot here. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. See you soon.